My name's Gerard Bauer. I write books for children, teenagers and young adults. I also visit a lot of schools and do presentations about writing, about myself, about the books, about where the story ideas come from, about some of the scenes. In the presentations I tell stories. I get students to come out and help me with readings. We talk about the writing process. I also talk about the cover design, because in a couple of the books, the Ishmael books, my son was involved and created the covers, which was a very unusual thing. The drawing he did was based on that picture of Ahab, because in my book, my Ishmael reads Moby Dick to see if he's anything like the character he's named after. He doesn't think he is, because Ishmael in Moby Dick's a bit of a hero. My Ishmael feels like a loser, really. My son did that cartoon when he was in year 11. He could draw. I asked him to draw a simple cartoon Ishmael might draw, and that might be something, could be on a school desk. He designed what the rest of the cover could be. They made a mock-up cover, and here's Joe in year 12 putting that cover together in our backyard with all the props that he'd made and whacking it all together. One of the things I find interesting about writing is, even though you end up with a book which is quite a long piece of writing, it always usually starts with something really tiny. But one day the idea for the next novel came because I looked at this notice board here. Got a whole lot of junk on it, and I looked at this picture. 2 whole books came out from the fact that I just happened to have that there. I tore that from a Life magazine or a Time magazine. It's a still from a movie, and a movie made about a classic American novel. I come from a teaching background, so I'm comfortable going into schools and talking to students, and I think part of my ability to write for teenagers is that I've spent a lot of time with them as a teacher. And I think one reason I didn't ever think about being a writer was that when I was at school, I never met one. I never heard one talk. We didn't have one come to the school. So it never dawned on me that writing could be something that you might do if you're interested in. I think it's really helpful to have the person who has written the text there, and to be able to ask whatever questions they like about characters, about why did that character do that, about things they liked in the story or the things they didn't like, they wish that didn't happen. And the thing is, sometimes you write about things you know, sometimes you just make things up. You can't always write about what you know. If Tolkien just wrote about what he knew, he wouldn't have written Lord of the Rings, unless he hangs out with orcs and dwarfs and all sorts of strange people. You have to make things up. And I think it just adds a greater interest and enjoyment and understanding of the novel, to have students get the opportunity to ask whatever questions they want of the person who has created that story. What I loved doing were the English subjects I got to do, because what I loved was words and stories, the power of words and stories to take you to other places, to make you feel real emotions. So I like in my presentations to try to enthuse students about reading in general, about stories. And if there are students out there who are interested in writing, to give them encouragement to keep going, and maybe some helpful advice too about how to improve their writing.